The infamous Comey memos are out, and you know who's happy about it? President Trump. One memo reveals the president actually early on endorsed the idea of looking into any possible wrongdoing by people related to his campaign. Comey wrote, Mr. Trump told him, quote, if there was some satellite, note, I took this to mean some associate of his or of his campaign, that did something, it would be good to find that out. But that he hadn't done anything and hoped I would find a way to get out, that we were not investigating him. The president says the notes show clearly there was no collusion and no obstruction, and that the FBI director leaked classified information. Comey claimed in another passage he doesn't do sneaky things, he doesn't leak or do weasel moves. But then he went on to leak his memo and admits he did it.
I know when I created some of them, they were classified, but I don't know how many of that group.
You testified that you did this to try to force the creation of a special counsel. Why? Why would a special counsel be needed? Why would the Department of Justice and FBI not be able to continue to do the job?
Because I thought that the department, as currently supervised, would not be aggressive enough to go serve process to get the tapes.
Because Jeff Sessions is too weak.
Well, he had recused himself. And
so Rod Rosenstein was too weak.
There was a new deputy attorney general who I didn't have confidence in given what I'd seen around my firing. And so I thought something has to be done, because there were lots of discussions in public then about appointing a special prosecutor.
Fox News has confirmed that the watchdog at the Department of Justice is now investigating Comey's handling of the memos, whether classified information was given to unauthorized outside sources. So, Kimberly, we're laughing about the line, weasel moves, but it's not funny because, I don't know if you saw Hannity last night. I did, because I watch it almost every night. And they had a rundown of some of the violations that he may be looking at for leaking classified information, and a lot of it looks pretty serious.
Yeah, for sure. And here's what's so interesting, and I think is very compelling, is so there's no proof of, collusion or obstruction of justice. And let me tell you something. He just completely torpedoed Mueller. So the president should send him a little thank you note. Thanks, weasel moves, because this is great. All you have to do is read from the memos to show that beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond any doubt, that the president didn't direct anybody in terms of any collusion or try to obstruct anything whatsoever. It really helps the president. That's why the president today said I was vindicated. Yeah. Because this helped his side. So what Comey is thinking, I don't know. He completely compromised anything that Mueller could have tried to be cooking up, because now it's going to be fraught with inconsistencies and fraught with problems in terms of other witnesses that he might be trying to call or bring forward. All of the prior inconsistent statements, the statements that Comey has made on this book tour, the statements in the book, the statements prior to the release of the book, the complications with Loretta Lynch. It's just a big stirred up pot of doubt and mess, courtesy of the former head of the FBI.
Right. Comey is collapsing, Greg, and on a number of levels, as KG says. One of the things he says he doesn't leak, and then he leaks, and then he actually went on to say that McCabe, total professional, great guy, you can trust him, he doesn't leak either, and then McCabe leaks and then lies about it. So the top two guys at the FBI, not looking too good.
Yeah. You know who I feel really bad for? I feel bad for the resistance.
Aw.
I do, because, they keep expecting a horse for Christmas, but they get a hamster. And in this case, this is a dead hamster. I mean, the left hasn't been this disappointed since the Berlin Wall fell. It's as if, you know what it is? It's as if their intense obsession to unseat a president is creating like a karmic poltergeist. Do you know what I mean? It's like every time they think they're going to get a smoking gun, they get a flaming bag of dog poo on their porch, and they step right into it. So I have a suggestion or an exercise for every person in the media, primarily those on CNN and MSNBC. Over the weekend, take 10 minutes to yourself and try to answer yourself this one question. What is the end game to all of this coverage about Comey, about Stormy, about collusion? Is it justice for an adult film star? Is it trying to uncover some secret conspiracy that you've been working on for 2 years almost, but haven't found a thing? Or are you just trying to get rid of a president?
Right.
Because if that's the case, you're actually hurting the country. And you're hurting everybody in the country over a personal vendetta.
But they don't care because it's political.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
And because they have been emotionally triggered by an election. Because I honestly don't think when people are reporting on this stuff, they actually ask What's the end game? What do I want out of this other than 10 minutes of good ratings?
It's a great point, because I was going to bring this up. The Democratic National Committee is now suing the Trump campaign, Jared Kushner, Don Jr., Russia itself, and WikiLeaks for interfering and making Hillary lose. What kind of frivolous lawsuit is this?
Well, it's the last dying breath of the resistance, because they're basically blaming Trump for everything that they actually did, which was collude with the Russians, come up with this dossier that was paid for. And by the way, can we just go back to Comey for a second? Because this really makes me mad. He didn't just say, I'm not a leaker, and then we find out he leaks. He said, I'm not a weasel, I'm a straight shooter. He's in the office with the President of the United States. What would a straight shooter say when he brings up the dossier? He would say, hey, there's this dossier about you and prostitutes in Moscow. And by the way, a straight shooter would say, it's been paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC. And he didn't. He's not a straight shooter.
No.
And to the end game is to not just potentially impeach the president, which is what they really want, but ultimately also to dispirit Trump voters. It is to make us feel, those of us who voted for him and who wanted this agenda to go forward, to dispirit us, to pull the poll numbers down. I look at the president's poll numbers. I can't believe how high they are, considering how much has been thrown at him. It's unbelievable.
Well, Rasmussen has him at about 90, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. Last time we checked, it's probably up to 99 by now. So was it 51? Let's say that. I want to really quick the question about the DNC. I think this is one of the most bonehead moves I've seen in a long time, because do they not understand that there's reciprocal discovery on both sides? Now this is just going to be just a treasure trove of information coming forward to the other side. So instead of always saying, I'm going to investigate, special counsel, you this and that, and we go, oh yeah, show me what you have.
Yeah, show me the
server. Show me all your documents.
The Fusion GPS payments. Let's see it all.
Absolutely. And they thought, oh, but this might be a good idea, because we can sort of muddy the waters and dust it up a little bit before the midterm elections, create some problems for the Republicans. But instead, they made a whole bunch of problems for themselves. Good job.
Okay, so our resident Democrat here to defend everything. We have James Comey admitting that he did not tell Donald Trump that Hillary paid for the dossier when he briefed him on it, and also that he doesn't even really know if the dossier is legitimate or not. I think he says something like, it's unlikely but possible.
Just that piece of the
there's
dossier.
dirt on Trump. Let's hear what he said.
Right.
What you're asking me about now is, why did I say what I said when people asked me whether I thought it was possible that the Russians had derogatory information on President Trump? I think it's unlikely, but I think it's possible.
So he put something that he considered unlikely forward to a judge to get a warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. That's not good.
So what's interesting in the Comey memos is when he talked about the dossier writ large, not just the very salacious details the president seems very focused on about the hotel room in Moscow, but in the Comey memos, he briefs the president that the intelligence community has corroborated and confirmed parts of the dossier.
Which parts were those?
He does not detail that in the Comey memos.
Yeah, I would like to know that.
Then let's find out. But he makes clear that there is intelligence to back up other pieces of the dossier. So it is not unsubstantiated in its
well, we know
entirety.
that
They substantiated that there is a place called Moscow.
And there was reporting this week that Michael Cohen may have actually been in Prague. So I think we need to be careful.
Do you believe, can I ask,
His passport does not show he's ever been in Prague.
Do you, Marie, believe that Trump actually colluded with the Russians with his campaign? You actually believe that?
I believe that members of close to the Russian government, including former and current intelligence officials, reached out to the Trump campaign and offered help. We know that. That's been publicly discussed. And I believe that the Trump campaign was willing to work with them, whether it was to release Hillary's emails, welcomed that help. What Donald Trump knew or did, I don't know. That's what Bob Mueller's looking into. We know there were members of the campaign willing to meet with Russians and discuss Hillary's emails. That's a fact that's been reported. I don't know what answers 2, 3, 4, 5 are. That's what Mueller's looking into right now. And Comey is only a small part of that. Right? In the larger investigation, Comey is not the end-all, be-all here.
Let's stick to the facts. There's been no contact that shows there was any sort of collusion whatsoever. Kimberly, let's get your
discussions about working together.
I don't know anything about discussions.
Right.
All I know is Hillary actually paid for Russian dirt that was used to get a wiretap on the Trump campaign.
But they put a fancy name on it. They want to call it a dossier.
That's right. Kimberly, I want to get your
lipstick on a pig.
But it wasn't Russian government information.
Byron York at the Washington Examiner had a great piece today.
Oh my gosh.
When he said, imagine you're the FBI director, your first meeting with the president-elect, Donald Trump, and you go in and you go, I have this salacious information on you. Donald Trump probably thought he was being blackmailed. He actually said that to a reporter. And do you think that that's a good idea to lead with this dirty dossier in your first meeting with the president? Maybe that's why President Trump was saying maybe we need a little loyalty here, because he felt like he couldn't trust James Comey. We're now finding out here from the memo that it was pressure from CNN. Let's show it on the screen here, that led to James Comey briefing the president. I said media like CNN had them and were looking for a news hook. I explained, again, why I had thought it was important that he know about it. I also explained that one of the reasons we told him was that the media, CNN in particular, was telling us they were about to run with it. And then the story leaks to CNN a few hours later. I mean, I understand why the president didn't trust, they call him Shady James.
Follow the snail trail. I mean, this one was laid out for you. I mean, unbelievable. So he probably should have gone to a nice, like, introductory meeting, talked to the president, because it's very off-putting. The president's saying, wait a second. Okay, why are you bringing this up to me? And to Comey, if I'm listening to somebody say this, I'm thinking, he's trying to catch him off guard, come in, say something like that, like he's looking to try to hook him. Before he even just, has exchanges pleasantries of the job, he's right away going after him. That shows the intended purpose, the specific intent, and whose team he was playing for. In fact, his whole team, family was in unison against the president, getting the march on, doing everything from, day one. He was in the bag for it. Then why does CNN have it? What is going? If there's collusion, you don't have to look to Russia to find out.
I mean, if there was some kind of strategy involved here, they needed a legitimate angle beyond just the dossier to report on it, right? Because it was frivolous and unproven. The legitimate angle was the briefing.
Precisely.
So Comey's briefing was kind of like a Trojan horse for actually just wanting to talk about the dossier. It's like saying, I'm going out for a walk when you're actually going to get cigarettes.
And what do we call that? Weasel move.